So Jasmine Campbell here once again from Chronicle.lu, and I'm joined by Nicolas Zharov, the president of LUkraine asbl. Lovely to see you again, Nicolas.
Hello, Jasmine.
Right, yeah, so last week we discussed a bit about the organization of LUkraine asbl and the Kyiv Not Kiev campaign, and this week we wanted to discuss first about LUkraine asbl's strategy and various projects, what it's centered around, and then of course later on the latest news in Ukraine. But maybe you can start by telling us about your strategy and projects.
Thank you, Jasmine. So yeah, the actual activity of our association is divided into 4 different blocks. The first 2 blocks are really interesting not interesting, I must say, but very important for the events that are happening right now in Ukraine, the war against Ukraine. So the first block is the refugee support block, and in this block we try to cover the basic needs of refugees and then give them the opportunities. So this block consists of 6 different projects. The first project is the housing projects, where we can actually give a house for the refugees and pay all the charges that are that concern the living of the refugees in the house. And of course, we need also to cover the basic needs such as food and hygiene products. So we deliver the food packages and we give some products for the babies and the hygiene. And of course, the third part of those basic needs are psychological assistance. So we give those assistance for the people in need. Thus, we can cover all the basic needs of the people, the refugees. And then the second part of this block is actually the opportunity part, where we try to give a normal lifestyle for those people who arrive to Luxembourg by integrating them in the Luxembourgish society by given the language courses. So we have 12 groups and we are expanding them for intensive French and English courses for Ukrainian refugees. So that's one project. The second project is, of course, the different workshops in order to make people understand how the Luxembourgish work system goes. So next workshop that we will have is actually for the accountants. So we'll put the Ukrainian accountants on the level of the Luxembourgish law. And of course, the third block, the third part of this is about finding a job and actually employ people. So we work really hard to find different employers and proposals of the candidatures of those people who come and pass our integration courses and different workshops. So that's a refugee support block. The second block is the emergency response to Ukraine, to the events that are happening directly in Ukraine. So basically, it's a humanitarian aid, evacuation, and food packages for those people who live near the front zones of the war, together with our partners from Kharkiv and other regions. Of course, we can include the U-Ambulance project, which consists of delivering the ambulances to Ukraine, because many hospitals were destroyed and the people in the regions do not get the assistance due to the lack of ambulances in Ukraine. So far, we have sent already 10 ambulances, and we have reached this milestone. We will continue the project, and we will add actually also the support for the firemen. We will buy the first fire truck in the next weeks, which will be delivered in the Donetsk region, that I will talk later. The humanitarian aid actually consists mostly of medical equipment and medicines that are delivered to the hospitals in Ukraine. So basically it's our emergency response block. The third block is the cultural diplomacy. We are working hard to give the possibility for Ukrainians living in Luxembourg and just arrived in Luxembourg, and especially children, to be integrated in the Luxembourg society from one side, and of course to show what is Ukrainian culture from the other side, in order that Luxembourg society and Luxembourg citizens could understand who Ukrainians are and their culture and their way of thinking. And I think this is something which is really needed here in Luxembourg to create this integration. So in the future, we will open a Ukrainian hub, which will be consisted of Ukrainian school, Ukrainian culture center, and Ukrainian library, and different small artistic workshops, let's say it like this. So this is the third block. And the fourth block, of course, is EU advocacy. Ukraine has finally received the candidate status for the EU membership. And we are doing our maximum to create the possibilities for Ukrainians and also for Europeans to work together and to understand what are the next steps that should be taken for Ukraine to be able to join European Union as a strong member state.
Brilliant. Okay, great. So 4 very important, very different, but equally important blocks there that you've centered your projects on. Yeah, very good. And yeah, hopefully that will bear fruit in future as well, also with cultural diplomacy and integration. Yeah, so that brings us to our next topic, which is, yeah, it's quite a difficult topic, but perhaps you could share with some of our readers, with the public, some of the latest news, kind of horrifying news that has come out of Ukraine this morning, and how LUkraine is reacting to that, or how you're feeling about this situation.
Well, thank you for the question, Jasmine. Indeed, I have really pain in my heart from the news we have received this morning. So actually, there are 3 major news. First of those news is that the prison where Ukrainian prisoners were held was bombed today by the Russian forces, accusing that it was of course, the attack of Ukrainian HIMARS systems, which is ridiculous. And we have over 60 people so far who are dead and mostly injured. And this is a real war crime. And I have really pain in my heart when I think how many people were injured, given that the Geneva Convention assures fair treatment of the prisoners. So that's one of the news. The second news, of course, the continuous torturing of Ukrainian citizens by Russian troops. Unfortunately, today we have seen a video where a Ukrainian soldier was tortured, and to be more specific, the Russian troops have cut down the testicles of those men, and they killed him afterwards, and they recorded it on the video. So in this regard, I don't have much to say about the cruelty and the violence of Russian soldiers. It's just unbelievable that this still happens in the 21st century. And the third news actually from this morning is attack on the civilians in the city of Mykolaiv. So the morning bombing killed at least 5 people in Mykolaiv on the bus stop. And given those news, I still wonder why Russia is not declared as a terrorist state, or at least a state who finances the terrorism. We should understand that it will only worsen in the next days, because the only answer that they can give to the world community is violence and more violence, and this cannot be tolerated.
Thank you for that, Nicolas. I'm sure it's not an easy topic to share, but it's important that people know what's going on. And thank you for sharing your thoughts on this and on what's happening. And perhaps on not a lighter note, but in terms of how you're reacting to this and to the war in general. What's next? What are your plans? Do you have plans to cooperate with some other administrations, maybe in Ukraine or?
Well, first of all, as a non-profit organization, we can only ask to provide more support to Ukraine on the different levels, taking into account the humanitarian, the military, and the financial support. And we do understand that every day of this war takes more and more lives. So we urge all the governments in the world to help Ukraine to stop this war, to protect our homeland. As per our cooperation with Ukrainian actors, we have already several organizations that we work with in Ukraine, but yesterday we have agreed together with Donetsk regional administration to sign a memorandum of cooperation to be able to provide the humanitarian aid to this region, which is where the situation is very, very difficult. So we'll be concentrating our humanitarian efforts on this region of Donetsk, and I hope that people will join this campaign by providing the medical supplies, food, water, and of course the most needed equipment, and such as actually ambulances and fire trucks to this region. So the first fire truck, as I said earlier, will be sent to the city of Avdiivka in the next weeks. This city actually has no electricity, no gas, and no water, and there are still over 2,000 people who stayed in the city. So it's up to us to provide this humanitarian assistance to the city of Avdiivka and to other cities of the Donetsk region.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, so that fits in obviously with your current strategy and your projects, and how you're supporting not only Ukrainians in Luxembourg, but also people who are in Ukraine.
Yes, exactly. So our main purpose and our slogan is we save lives, and this is our main activity so far. So we concentrate our efforts on providing the emergency response to the people who are in direct danger of being killed.
Of course. Okay. Thank you very much, Nicolas. I think we've covered some interesting aspects, some difficult aspects, but which are equally important. And I look forward to speaking with you or one of your colleagues again next week about this. So thanks very much.
Please, with pleasure. Thank you, Jasmine. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.